What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. Like buses, you wait ages for an FPL video and then all of a sudden two come at once. FPL have announced further changes to the game next season, which is double chips. So let's talk about it. So this one's nice and simple. Basically, they've got rid of the assistant manager chip. It only came in last season as the mystery chip. We weren't able to use it until January. I personally felt that either they had to change it a little bit or get rid of it. So I'm quite happy it's gone. I know not everyone will agree with that, but I don't think it was the most popular chip that they've ever introduced. I think for casual FPL managers, it was a bit convoluted in the way it worked. Either way, it's gone. So we will not be using that this year. Instead, they've doubled the other chips. So wildcard, free hit, bench boost, and triple captain. You'll now have one of each of those between game weeks 1 and 19. And then you'll have another one of each of those chips for game weeks 20 to 38. So the wildcard hasn't changed. We've had two wildcards for a while. But bench boost, free hit, and triple captain, that is a change. Now, personally, I've wanted this for a little while, as have many other FPL managers. So I'm certainly not going to complain about it. I think it's a pretty good change. I'm interested to see how it works. Will this open up different strategies for people? I'm not so convinced it will. If anything, it makes it so much easier to manage the double game weeks later on. Because what usually happens is we start off the season game weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, lots of questions about when to use chips. And for the most part, the free hit, the bench boost, and the triple captain, the advice is wait for a double game week. Now, we all know waiting for those double game weeks doesn't always work, but the majority of the time, that is the strategy that most FPL managers go for. So it does get a little bit boring, right? You've got all these chips, the game's just started, wait 20 to 25 weeks before you even think about using them. Now we've got something else to think about. So not only do we have the change already announced today, where defensive midfielders and centre-backs, or defenders in general, but centre-backs in particular, are going to have a boost of points for defensive contributions, we now also have 3 additional chips to use in the first half of the season, along with the wild card that we've had for quite a while. So I think, like I said, good change. The free hit in particular is going to open up some interesting strategies. Take last season, for example. If I think back to what I did in the first 6 game weeks, I started with Haaland, didn't have Salah. Obviously, long term, that was a bad strategy, but it worked out okay for the first few game weeks. But I really wanted Salah in game week 5, and I bought him in and then forced myself to wildcard in game week 6. If a similar situation arises this year, and there's a player I really want, but just for 1 week, and there's lots of other fixtures that fit into the strategy, I could just free hit that week and then save my wildcard until later on. Triple captain, I vowed after last year to never use it in a single game week again because it didn't go well for me. Now I'm going to be forced to do that because often there are no double game weeks before game week 20. They're almost always afterwards. So straight away people are going to be looking at, when does Salah play the newly promoted sides? When does Haaland play the newly promoted sides? When am I going to use my triple captain? Should I use it straight away while players are fresh? Should I wait and see who's in form? See if I can get a big score. Oh, just whacked a glass. Should I see if I can get a big score later on? These are all things we're going to think about. It's not even a negative really, but I do think because the season is probably going to look similar to last year, there is going to be fewer double game weeks later on. So I think one interesting strategy people would have started thinking about this year is bench boosting game week 1. But obviously now you might as well save your second one until the double game weeks, but you've still got another one to think about. So I will look at game week 1 bench boost, because using that straight after you've had unlimited transfers is usually a very good strategy, at least in the first couple of weeks. But it might not work. They might put the prices up. It might be difficult to get a decent bench out. We might just have to go for something later on. So this is just an initial reaction. Do I know exactly when I'm going to use those chips in the first 19 game weeks? No. But I do think it's an interesting addition to the game. I love that they've got rid of assistant manager. I like that we're going to get to test this out. As always, I think, is this going to make the game better, more difficult? I'm not so sure it does. But I do think, essentially, the aim of FPL is a marketing tool for the Premier League. This is going to keep people more engaged. You've wasted all your chips, don't worry about it. You've got a whole other set of them to come later on. So overall, I think it's a good change. I prefer this to the defender contribution changes, if I'm honest. I think that one's okay, but nothing to get excited about. I don't want to watch games and wonder if my defensive midfielder is going to get a tackle. I want goals and assists, but this one I quite like. So much shorter video than earlier. Hopefully they announce nothing else today because I'm actually going out tonight. We'll see what happens. I've got a bad feeling the prices are coming soon, either later tonight or maybe Saturday. I'll try and get a video out as soon as possible once they're dropped. But if you don't hear from me straight away, you know why. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think of this change. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like. Hit that subscribe button. Help me hit 500k by the end of this season. And I'll catch you again at some point soon. Maybe later today, possibly tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, who knows. But within a week, we'll be back. The game will be out. And we can start building our squads.